Today we're going over the section 5 in chapter 3, solving nonlinear systems of equations notes. So when it's a system of nonlinear equations, a system has two or more equations and at least one of the equations is not a line. So for example, it can be a quadratic with a line, or a quadratic with a quadratic, or a circle with a line, or a circle with a quadratic, but both equations can't both be lines. That would be a linear system of equations versus a nonlinear system. So there can be no real solution. That is when it has zero intersections. It has no real solution. And then it can have one real solution. That's when it has one intersection. And if it intersects at 2 points, that has two real solutions. So it can have two intersections. Okay, just like in Algebra 1, when we solve systems of linear equations, we solve them using substitution, graphing, and elimination. And we'll do the same thing here. So on this first one, we're solving this one using graphing. So here's two equations. We have a quadratic, so parabola, and a line. And what we're going to do for graphing, we can graph them on graph paper, or we can also use our graphing calculator at this point. So we're going to go into the y equals, and we are going to type in these equations. I'm going to pause the video real quick. I'm going to type the first equation into y1 and the second into y2. Okay, you can see I have them typed in. Be really careful that you're using a subtraction sign for these parts. And in front of this one on y2, the negative 2x, you have to use the negative button, not the subtraction. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and hit graph. And you can see they zoom in right here. And so if I want to go ahead and find where they actually intersect, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom my window in. So I'm going to hit zoom, and I'm going to do zoom in. It's the second one. So I'm going to hit enter, and it zooms in to where I can see it. So it looks like they only intersect once, like it hits the quadratic and then kind of keeps going. So how I'm going to find that is I'm going to do second, and then the trace button. It gets me to that calculate screen. Now, I want to go down to 5, which is intersect. So I'm going to go to 5 and hit enter, or you can just press the button 5. So when it says first curve, you see right here, it's saying it's on y1 right here. So it's on the parabola. So the first curve is the parabola. Hit enter. It says second curve. That's the line. Hit enter. The reason why it asks you that is because if you had, say, 3 or 4 or 5 or more equations on here graphed, it needs to know which two equations you're looking for the intersect on. So I go ahead and I say, it says guess, and I hit enter. And the intersection point is at 0, -1. So let's maybe jot down real quick that what we do is we enter into y1 and y2 on your calculator. All right, and then we are going to do, and so like that's under y equals. We're going to do second, and then we did the trace button. And then we selected number 5, which was intersect. And let's just make ourselves a little sketch of what happened real quick. So we had a parabola like that. And then we had a line. And it intersect right there. And that was at 0, -1. And that's our solution. Okay, so let's look at another one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this one right here, this first one, and I'm going to pause the video and type these into my y1 and y2. Okay, I'm going to hit graph. Now you can see I'm really zoomed in. To get back to where I was, I hit zoom, and I want standard. It's the 6th one. That's the one that goes from -10 to +10. Okay, you can see it intersects twice here and here. So I'm going to go to second, calc, and I want intersect. So I can go down to 5 and hit enter, or just hit 5. First curve is the parabola, yes. Second is the line, yes. Guess, hit enter. Okay, so one of the intersections is at 0, -2. All right, we're going to jot that down real quick. 0, -2. Now to find the other intersection over here, do the same thing. Second, and then trace. You want intersect, so that's the 5th one. but scoot over to where you're closer to that intersection. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go just past it. I'm going to hit enter for my first curve, enter for my second curve, enter to guess. So it's 5, 3. All right, and so what happened was, all right, it was like this, not very straight line, but we tried. It intersected twice, right there and right there, and those are our two solutions. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to type in this second one. When I do type this in, the first equation is fine, but the second equation has to be y equals. So I'm going to type in y equals 3 minus x for my second equation. Okay, so I typed those in. I hit graph, and you can see they never intersect. You could zoom in on that if you want. You hit zoom, and the second one is zoom in, and hit enter. So if you zoom in, I zoomed in a little too far, you can see there's space right there. So there is no real solution because they never intersect. So let's draw a little sketch so we can show what happened. It looked like this. So they never intersect.